Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is You Shall Hear of Wars and Rumors of Wars. It comes from Matthew 24. I'll read more in just a second. First of all, I want to invite you to subscribe, click the bell, share, go to our Bible study Friday night at 6:30. You can watch it on the links below. Also, we're now asking everyone that watches Prophecy Club to join Prophecy Club. $9.90 a month on an automatic withdrawal. And you can do that by clicking on the QR code before, or you can go to prophecyclub.com. All right. I also want to encourage you to get this offer. This is extremely important for you to be able to convince people that the Bible is true. It's a book and a DVD that is just awesome. 3.5 hours, the DVD, and explains the high-resolution pictures of Noah's Ark, Sodom and Gomorrah, Red Sea crossing, Ark of the Covenant. Now, let's get to our topic. Matthew 24:6 says, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, but be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay, so what it's going to say just a second is this is the beginning of sorrow. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. Well, we're on the early takes of that. There's more to come. These are the beginning of sorrows. Then, in other words, after the famines, pestilences, earthquakes, they're going to deliver us up. And I think it's talking specifically to the Jews, but you know they're also after the Christians. They shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and they shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall be offended, betray one another, and shall hate one another. We see betrayals going on in America right now. We see Americans killing Americans, and I could spend a whole hour talking about that. But it also goes on, there's going to be many false prophets shall arise, and I think a lot of that is going on right now on the internet. Okay, first article. Desperate, KM, tried to seduce Bharat or India with ethnic Indian UK Prime Minister, U.S. President. It goes on to say, the North Koreans and Asian secret societies are saying that if the U.S. is not, this is a threat. In my opinion, this is a threat for war. If the U.S. is not returned to the American people and Japan to the Japanese people in October, they will take very serious action in East Asia. Wow, that's a big threat. North Koreans have traded large amounts of artillery shells for a state-of-the-art Russian submarine equipped with 10 intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles. You remember, Vicky Parnell was shown a conversation between Parnell and Kim, where they have agreed that North Korea is going to be attacking America with nuclear weapons. They shall. They say that they will disperse their population underground, this is North Korea, and into the countryside prepared to annihilate Washington, D.C., New York, Silicon Valley, unless the Americans in their occupation of Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea. Now, you know we're not going to do that. But you also know that North Korea is not kidding. So these are threats of a nuclear attack. Well, this one says that North Korea gave a bunch of artillery shells in exchange for a Russian submarine equipped with 10 ICBMs. Well, here's the article. This comes from War News. And I'm pretty sure one does not follow the other one. North Korea's built, launched, and I don't know if North Korea built it, but he says, they built, launched, and put into service its first tactical nuclear-armed attack submarine, equipping its country's Navy with an urgent task of the time. All of a sudden, here in the last couple of months, North Korea has kicked into high gear their military and war machine. It goes on to say Kim stressed that his country will build more submarines, including nuclear-powered ones, to continually strengthen his country's nuclear arsenal with submarines and surface vessels with nuclear weapons. He openly says nuclear weapons. His country's Navy must become urgently, there's another word, urgent, more powerful. The existing fleet of submarines will be modernized so that they can routinely carry nuclear weapons. How many times did he say nuclear weapons there? So North Korea is openly saying they plan to attack America now. Now, you remember this Vicky Parnell dream? Putin's face spread into a pure evil grin, then says, I like your style, Kim. By all means, join in the fun. You can be given a shot on the 3rd. Now, In the other two programs, I read this. I said I didn't know what the third was. One of our good listeners out there pointed out the answer, what the third is, and it's found here. This is from Vicki Goforth Parnell. She was shown this map. These are where the Russians, here it says up here at the top right, you might want to pause and look at this map. Russians, this shows where the Russians attack. Then in purple, it shows where the North Koreans will attack. And then down here, it shows where the Russians attack in a second. So what we're proposing is that the North Koreans would be the third wave of nuclear weapons. So the purple is talking where the North Koreans attack. Now, I looked this up, and of course, this is Los Angeles, obviously Washington, D.C., but this is like nothing. Okay, this is farmland out here. So I don't know, unless there's some kind of military installation out there I don't know about, and that may be the case. Anyway, let's go on. North Korea debuts rocket launchers that appear as civilian trucks. Again, what is it? The Art of War says when your enemy is threatening you and saying that they have weapons to kill and defeat you, maybe you should listen. North Korea debuts rocket launchers that appear as civilian trucks. It says a fleet of multiple rocket launchers disguised as civilian trucks they have now built. This is them in a parade. Rocket launchers masquerading as civilian trucks. This is in a recent parade in North Korea. Rockets hidden in containers. Tractors pulling rocket launchers and anti-tank missiles. U.S.-Canadian warships transit Taiwan Strait. An American guided missile destroyer and a Royal Canadian Navy frigate sailed through the Taiwan Strait. In other words, we're threatening China. Stay away from Taiwan. The Japan-based USS Ralph Johnson and passed through the strait after drilling with Japanese ships. So we are rattling the saber. China is rattling the saber. You might say if it's two guys in the parking lot at high school, one has drawn a line and said, dare you to step over that. The other one drew a line and says, I dare you to step over that line. It goes on to say the heavily armed Chinese destroyer closely followed the convoy of ships in the East China Sea, calling out repeatedly to the Canadians on maritime radio and coming within just over a kilometer of the Allied ships. We are very close to war, my brothers and sisters. Now, I can't say a lot of the words on this page, so you're going to have to read the page to catch what it's saying. Headline says, Jan, I probably shouldn't even say her name, says, yes, there really is a plan. Yes, there really is a plan. There is some good guys that are really serious. You have to read it. And there is going to be a triggering effect. And they think it's going to be over this Georgia thing. I really should not say too much of this. You're going to have to just read it. And that there was... This is not the first place I heard this, okay? This is about the third different place I've heard this, that apparently there was lots and lots of yellow stuff taken from the Vatican. So they're cleaning up. They're cleaning up. You need to just read this. And the good guys is actually still in charge. Remember, I've made two different, or maybe even three different programs saying that there's going to be a king, not a president, come back to America, a king. And somebody put a note up that said, well, America, we don't have kings. Well, who says it's going to be America? Okay, we need someone to come in with ultimate authority to really clean this up. Okay, I assume you read this, so we'll go on. Now, September the 9th, this lady's dad had this dream. And several people have sent me over to this lady's YouTube channel before. This is the first one I've decided to put on. By the way, just if I don't put it on, then I'm not saying that that's necessarily from God. So just because you look up and you see a name and you go to that website or that channel and you look at other things that person put out does not necessarily mean they're of God. If I don't put it on the program, then I'm not necessarily saying it's of God, because We see through a glass darkly. Stan, are you saying that a person can hear from God this time and not hear from God this time? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. One might be from God, and the very next one might not be from God. Okay, let's go on. So in the dream, talking about her dad now, he says, I was on the couch, and a lady came in and sat with me. An older woman came in and sat also. They began to watch TV, and the older woman asked if we had some snacks to eat while we're watching TV, and my dad said yes and came back with some shredded wheat cereal. The young woman said, no, we can't eat that. We have to keep those. So then he went and got a bag of corn chips. Again, the young woman said, no, we have to keep those too. I think it's trying to say we better all have stored up. You better have some food for the trouble to come. And of course, for that, I'll send you to Joseph's kitchen. We'll tell you more about it here at the end of the promo, or at the end of the program. There was a big boom. We ran outside. In the distance, there was a column from an explosion getting tall. It became a mushroom cloud, and my dad said, that's an atomic explosion. How do you tell the difference? Well, if it's just regular conventional explosions, then it's just a big round puff on the ground. But if it's nuclear, then it has a telephone pole and the mushroom is up on top. That's how you know it's nuclear, because it's hotter. An overpass appeared over them, meaning God put protection around them immediately. They knew the shock wave, and sure enough, the shock rings hit. The four of them were very baffled. Another kaboom was heard, and it was another explosion and another mushroom cloud in the distance. My dad said, we must put as much distance between us and the shock waves as possible. He grabbed the two kids, and we began running across the open field. We were thinking that there's no place to hide. None. But we saw a building at an Air Force base. We went in with the others, and there was a man looking in the window. My dad knew him, and he was a good man. The man said, this is not a good place to stay, but there is water here. By the way, this is very truncated. This is very edited because it didn't flow right the way she said it. So this is close as I can put it to understanding it. The second shock wave hit, but not much damage. My dad went outside and saw two mushroom clouds in the distance. Now we're getting to the point here. And part of the point is, okay, so they had two nuclear weapons go off in the distance. God protected them. That's one of the big points. Then the dream changed. My dad's point of view was from above, looking down on the mushroom clouds. He was above them, and they were still boiling, and he could see the column and the mushroom clouds rising. He saw the shock waves going out, and he said to himself, how many people were killed? And he heard an audible voice speak, and that's the reason I believe this is God. The audible voice said, 400. Well, if there's two nuclear explosions and only 400 was killed, that's good, because two of them could be 4 million instead. I wrote in my journal February 25th of 2023. Now, this is his daughter, and this is a prophecy, but I'll tell you, I believe it, and I believe it because of what was said. I asked God, is there something you would like to tell me about the shaking that is coming? This is what I heard, she says. The nations will weep and mourn and cry, and the dead will lie in piles of scorched bodies. Many will say, God did this, and turn away in hardness. Others will say, God did this, and turn to me in repentance. But I say, the sin of man did this, and I'm now allowing that sin to have its full effect on the face of the earth. That's why I believe it. I believe that is well worded. That sounds like God to me. And I agree with what was said. No, let's go on. There's another one here. You are about to see the blow of sin across the planet. Death marches near, she says. But my remnant will come near me and find shelter there. Now, I like this. Joy will abound with them while the shaking is occurring. I'm going to see that, and I can say it again. I like that. Joy will abound with them while the shaking is occurring. Nothing will touch them, for my hand of protection is over them. Now fear not, but rejoice, for the time is near. Hold on to me during the shaking, for I am the rock, the unmovable rock of your salvation. And, of course, I agree with that. I ask, Is this nuclear war you speak of, or is this another illness that goes around the planet? How close are we to nuclear war? The Lord says, you are but seconds away. The fear that will consume the earth at that time, I will be as strong and high and devastating as the cloud of mushroom-shaped destruction. You, child, know already in your heart, this is what's coming. As I have shown you, be not dismayed. Instead, follow me, stand at the ready. The day of the Lord is nearby. Now, I can't give you any financial advice, but I'm going to suggest a couple of things. I suggest that everybody have at least 2 weeks, and you really probably want to have at least 3 months of actual cash on hand. Why? Because, if the credit cards don't work and you don't get a paycheck, you don't want them to come and repossess your house or your cars because you don't have any money. I also suggest strongly that you call Cornerstone AssetMetals.com, especially if you have some money in the bank. You might not be able to access that money in the bank. I suggest you have at least a handful of gold and a handful of silver, and it probably ought to be more like a wheelbarrow full of silver. Again, I can't give financial advice, but Cornerstone Asset Metals can. They're Christians. They're prophecy students. They love Prophecy Club people calling. They say because I don't have to train them. Prophecy Club people already know what's going on. You want to have something to stop the repossessions. You don't want to lose your house, your car, and things like that in this kind of thing coming. Also, I suggest you have at least 1 year's of food, and for that, I'll send you to josephkitchen.com. Silver, according to what Shane Warren was told, will skyrocket far more than gold. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Also, if you don't already have one, I strongly suggest you get a Berkey water filter, and you get that at prophecyclub.com. Why? Because the number one killer in emergencies, surprisingly, is drinking contaminated water. Because it looks like water, smells like water, but it kills you. So if you run it through a Berkey water filter, it looks like a big coffee pot. You pour the water on the top, out comes clean. Look, the missionaries been using Berkey water filters, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 years. They're tested, they're proven. Also, you might want to go to EMPShield.com, get yourself one of these. You put one on your car, each of your cars, put it on your house. If it's your car, red to red, green to the body, and black to the black of your battery. You got videos up there, it shows you. Takes you 10 minutes to put in your car, about 10 minutes for your house. Not bad at all. And if you use the promo code PROPHECY, it gets you a discount. So let me summarize here. We have 11 prophecies that say the dollar is going to fall. They say that it falls, boom, like overnight. No warning. This is the time to prepare. Also, we've got 14 prophecies say there's going to be a food shortage. And there's got 17 prophecies say there's going to be a meteor causing a tsunami and an earthquake at the New Madrid Fault. And for both of those, I'll send you to josephkitchen.com because most of your other long-term storage food places, $9,000 to feed one person for 1 year. Did you hear that? $9,000 to feed one person for 1 year. Joseph Kitchen can show you the way Joseph and the pyramids and the pharaohs did it. What was it that fed the world for 7 years? Wasn't corn, wasn't rice. It was wheat. Why does Jesus call us wheat? I think it's because wheat is the primary food that God made for man to eat. And if you buy it in a store, already made into bread, most of the nutrients are gone. You can only get the full nutrients when you grind the wheat, make the bread, and eat it there pretty quickly. Got 32 prophecies say suitcase nukes. 35 of them is the prophecy, are going to hit all across America. Dana Coverstone, several other people had dreams confirming it. 32 different dreams and visions. And for that, again, I'll send you to EMPShield.com. Got 7 saying that there's going to be a surprise Russian nuclear attack. That's Dmitry. So Brothers and sisters, don't be surprised. Don't be one of them standing in the food line. Be one of them behind the table helping people by giving them the food. Don't be one of the people that says, hey, if you got some blankets, if you got some clean water, instead, be one of them that have the blankets. Be the person that has the clean water. Get yourself prepared. Let's talk about Joseph's Kitchen. I actually cooked this loaf of bread you're seeing here. Takes me about 10 minutes to put the ingredients together, put it into a bread machine, push a button, 2 hours, 20 minutes later, I get a loaf of bread out like that. Now, if you cut that loaf of bread that weighs about 3 pounds, the loaves you get in the store have most of the good stuff removed. The loaves you get in the store are about 1 pound. That's 3 pounds because it's got the good stuff still in it. Cut that into 14 slices, and if I eat a slice in the morning and the afternoon, I'm satisfied. So on that basis, one loaf can sustain, I didn't say it's everything we want, can sustain one person for a week. Based upon that, it'll get you excellent nutrition. It tastes good, long storage life, 10 minutes to combine the ingredients, 2 hours, 20 minutes to make it. Other wheat that you order arrives in paper bags, which means bugs, rice, humidity can get a hold of it and ruin it. But at Joseph's Kitchen, they send it out in 100 mil thick buckets. Gives you long shelf life. It's stackable. It's nitrogen infuses that hopefully gives it much longer shelf life, kills bugs and things like that. Easily resealable, keep in a climate-controlled area. And they have it in stock. This is a picture, an actual picture of part of the warehouse. Here's another picture of these. Actually, each one of those boxes holds 2,500 pounds of wheat. And I think they've got 54 of those boxes, a bunch of them. So Joseph's Kitchen can ship it to you right now. You go to most of these places, they say out of stock. So here's what you want to do. Everybody needs to get a machine package. These are the things that you need to grind the wheat berries. Put them into a grinder. 30 seconds later, you have flour. You put that into the bread machine along with 6 other ingredients. Push a button. 2 hours, 20 minutes later, you have a nice hot loaf of whole wheat bread. Then you have to decide how much food you want. You want food 2 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 6 people 1 year. And if you want to make certain you have it when the electricity goes down, you can also get yourself a solar generator, all at josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. Terry Saka with CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. So what's going on in the world of finances? Why should they call today?
Well, China has laid out in a speech a few weeks ago exactly what they think of the United States. I haven't seen that in my 55 years. With China and Russia forming these reserve currencies, new reserve currency, we better be prepared because that dollar is going to be in deep trouble and we're going to need assets to protect us from it.
CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Call them or go online, CornerstoneAssetMetals.com, or call them at 888-747-3309. 888-747-3309. And I'll send you to prophecyclub.com to get your Berkey water filter. I'll send you over to josephkitchen.com to get yourself some food. Look, you know, with wheat, you can feed a lot of people, healthy lot, and for not much money. So I'll recommend, here's what I suggest. If you're short on cash, you want to have at least this one here, the Big Berkey, at least. And you'd be good if you have a couple of extra filters. Then, if you really want to be prepared, if you want to have enough for, you know, for your neighborhood, then this is what I recommend. And you can put 8, it says comes with 6, but you can put 8 filters. I have one that has 8 filters, and all of my water goes through that. Even sometimes I run tap water through it, but whatever runs through it, I don't drink any water. It doesn't come out of that because I know I can trust it. I know that what comes out of that is pure. Matter of fact, Leslie had a vision, actually, on a Sunday morning during praise and worship. Back in 2011, she says there's going to be something put into our water system in many cities of this nation. People begin to get sick and some will die. Well, Vicky Parnell had a dream about that, was warned. They are literally going to try to kill a lot of Americans. Literally, they're going to try to poison them. I know this is hard to believe, but you better, hey, look, if you think we're in the tribulation, then you got to understand these kind of things are coming. Many turn to drinking bottled water. Environmentalists complain about that. Okay. My children that have ears, make sure you have a good, reliable water filter. You will not be able to trust the tap water or bottled water. The only thing you can trust is my word. Trusting me, says the Lord. You must get something to filter the water. You're going to need it. And if you'll go to Brighton.com, and if you'll look this up and watch this, just watch, it's called Watch the Water, you will understand that they are getting ready to poison. Some say that they're already poisoning the water. Berkey water filters, the only thing I trust.